Hey guys, Nolar here, back with 5-9 Direct, and I had the privilege to play the Diablo 4 beta. The Diablo 4 beta had 2 weekends where you can play it. Now, this weekend, which was March 17th to the 19th, was allowed for people who pre-purchased the game, and they could play with the Barbarian, the Sorcerer, and the Rogue. But the next weekend, which would be the 24th to the 26th, is freely open to the public, so anybody could go download the game from battle.net and try it out for themselves, and then you would have the availability to play the Necromancer and the Druid, the other 2 classes. So there are 5 starting classes in this game, and I'm sure with expansions to come and for their DLC, the Paladin and the Monk and some of the other classes might make a return, like the Assassin. But I digress. Let's talk about the game and see if this is the next big ARPG that's coming to the genre, and it will make a big splash and garner as much attention and live up to the hype that myself and a bunch of other fans like Goresh and others have been waiting for nearly a decade. Okay, so let's talk about Diablo 4 as a whole. The game has been in development for several years, I think about 6 years at this point. And the biggest thing is it was supposed to help mitigate the disaster that was the Diablo Immortal announcement at BlizzCon 2018. Now, did it really help? Yeah, I guess it's a really good ARPG. Like, it's a fun game. The one thing that Blizzard has always managed to do well when it comes to Diablo in their games is get the combat right. The combat feels great, visceral if you're playing as a barbarian, and just really cool to play with all the lightning spells or spells in general as a Sorc. So I believe the combat's great. It feels good. It feels weighty. I had a blast. Like, it's very good. Now, when we're looking at the complexities of an ARPG, it's not really all there. So to me, it's a scale, right? You're either super complex like Path of Exile, where you basically need spreadsheets and the Wikipedia open to keep playing and understand the systems and how it works, or you go super simple when we're talking about something like Torchlight 1 or 2 and all those other games. Diablo 2 was kind of in the middle. There are some complexities to that, but they're not so bad. Where does Diablo 4 kind of fall in that spectrum? It's definitely not on the end of Path of Exile, where it's super complicated. It's a lot more simple than, say, Diablo 2. Let me give you an example. Looking at the skill tree, like the lightning tree, you know, you've got basically a couple of options. For example, chain lightning, you have only 1 to 2 options of how to further enhance it. Now, in the beta, we got to level 25, which was the max you could get, and I managed to do that on Barbarian. But obviously, the game starts really in ARPGs at the end game, and here the end game starts at level 50. Where you then unlock another system called Paragon, which is similar to something in D3, or at least in name, but the system itself is very different. But we never got to experience it, either in the private beta or even now in this, pre-order beta. We won't even see what that system's like. So right now it seems very simplified. That is a legit complaint, but I don't know how much further it gets to being complicated down the line, because we never get to see it. So fingers crossed that it's actually pretty good towards the end. Now, combat's great. The graphics are fantastic. It looks really dark and grim and gritty like Diablo 2. Diablo 3's main complaint, and even to me, is just it's so poppy. The colors are so vibrant and big, and it just doesn't fit the theme of Diablo. Here, the gore, the blood, you know, it is definitely a mature 17+ rating. You know, all the mature themes going through the game, you could totally feel that here. And so the art style and the art team definitely nailed it. That is for sure. The cinematics, which Blizzard has been known to be ahead of the game and just world-renowned, it's not a 10. It's more of a 7.5. It's still great, but the coolest part about it is it's rendered. It's not pre-rendered cutscenes. It's rendered in real time in engine, and the reason why that's cool is that the character customization, where you're creating the character, that character you created, the way he or she looks, is in the cutscene. So it feels so much better because you legitimately feel like you're part of the world, like you're more immersed in a part of the story itself. So while the visual fidelity is not what I call top-notch, I believe they kind of shifted their focus to make you feel part of the game, and that it absolutely does. 100% does. The game lets you play up to the end of Act 1. And so you get to really understand and see just a bit of how the storyline progresses, and it's so far interesting. It's not fantastic. It's not something that would change the genre and bring you in absolutely, but it's pretty good, and I think we'll see what the rest of it seems like. It looks like there will be 5 acts based on the way the map is. Now, here's the big thing about the game. This has a lot more MMO RPG elements in it, where you're in a shared world. The map is huge. The world is huge. And there are several different zones for you to explore. So the one zone we get to explore here is Act 1, and that's the Fractured Peaks. And again, this is where I mean by it's more MMO. You could play with other people. You can invite your friends, and then you could do that with other ARPGs, but here, as you're like traversing the open world, you get to see people out there. You get to even play with the world boss. Now, I didn't get any footage of me fighting the world boss, but when you're fighting with like 20 to 30 people trying to take down a boss, it's an MMO to me, right? That's a raid. So this game has a lot of those kind of elements where you have to grind all the dungeons, which we're gonna do anyways in a looter, like an ARPG. But if you do all the dungeons in the area, you'll gain something called Renown, and I token it to something like an MMO where you're a completionist. You want to explore all the areas. You want to do all the dungeons and battles. You want to raise the XP bar for specific people, that kind of thing. So to me, this is a definitely more MMO area. Not 100% there, but this is the closest we'll get to a World of Diablo, for example. However you feel, that may sway you or that may deter you. So that's something you're gonna have to try for yourself with the open beta and see how that goes. The difficulty, this is the one thing I was kind of worried about, but it is actually pretty difficult. In the beginning of the beta, there's only 2 options. It's like, normal, new players, and then there's the adventure or veteran difficulty, which, makes the enemies harder and you get a little more loot. On the veteran difficulty, I did spend several minutes killing bosses. It's not like you can sneeze at them and they'll, tow over, give you your loot. So I'm pretty happy about the difficulty, but that's me as an ARPG fan. We'll see how they scale things towards the end, because there's some bosses in here that will like one-shot you, or you'll have a hard time. And that's going to be very difficult if you're playing on hardcore, where if you die once, your character dies forever. So we'll see how they decide to tune things down the line, but that's the biggest thing. Now, with this beta, we didn't get a chance to see the shop. Blizzard's completely said that the game will have microtransactions in the sense of it'll have a battle pass. You could buy currency, and all the stuff you buy is going to be cosmetic based. Can't prove or deny any of that because it wasn't available here, and I don't imagine it'll be available the next following weekend until it actually releases. So at this moment, all I have to do is take them on their word, where you can't buy player power or character power. You can only buy cosmetics and stuff like that, but it's to be determined. So that is that. So overall, I had a really good time playing the beta, even if it was for only 72 hours. There were login queues and issues, but this is a beta. They want to stress test their network. It seems like a lot of people were interested because there were queues for 2 to 3 hours. And so they kind of got our feedback. But my main feedback here for Blizzard, if they're ever going to watch this, I like the direction they're going in the sense of the way the combat is, and the way that the story and how you're enveloped in the world and stuff like that. That's really great. Like, I really enjoyed it. It's very much what I'm hoping for from an ARPG. Unfortunately, and this is coming from a guy that loves MMOs. I've played a lot of MMOs and I really enjoy it. I don't want an MMO Diablo, like, through and through. I'd like my ARPGs to be clean-cut experiences where I can target farm things. I could just, put on my headphones for an hour, blast away, grinding dungeons, grinding rifts, or whatever the case may be, maps, and then get the loot and move on. The reason why I say that is the world bosses, this is like an MMO thing, world bosses are on a timer, and I hate being told that, oh, I shouldn't be doing this, I shouldn't be doing that. I gotta wait until the world boss comes out so I can do that. And the world bosses were great. You got 6 to 8 legendaries from a drop. What I'm to be determined on how I feel until I get later in the game is the gearing system here is a lot different than Diablo 3 and some of the other ARPGs, in the sense that the legendary affixes, the things that the shiny loot that people wants to drop, is only a fraction of what you need to like really get to your maximum potential. We'll see how that plays out. I will get more information as I play the next beta and then really play around with it. But essentially, you can craft rare items, add a legendary affix, and then make it the best item. So you're essentially farming for rares. But if you played an ARPG, rares are like pretty much trash 95% of the time, or 99% of the time. So we'll see if that's going to be a endless grind, a good endless grind, or a bad one. But yeah, a lot of the things is I love MMOs, but I want a pure ARPG. Me personally, I mean, again, this is maybe you might like this concept of open world. I get to play with people randomly. We'll party up. We'll do that. But the reason why I'm wary is there are some quests where you're like want to kill 5 things, and in an MMO, if it's very popular, you might be waiting a long time to have those 5 things respawn because everyone's farming them for their own leveling process and all that kind of stuff. So it remains to be seen. I'm cautiously optimistic because Blizzard hasn't had a very good name. Their reputation hasn't been great the last 2 to 3 years. Lots of controversies galore, but I'm cautiously optimistic that the developers who make this game, I know they enjoy ARPGs, they love Diablo, they love this franchise, and they're doing their best, but I'm a little cautious on it. So if you guys watch some videos, there's tons of content creators out there, ARPGs that played it. Quinn, Asmongold's been playing it online. I've seen some stuff from Zizarin and DS Lily. So if you've seen it, leave us your thoughts in the comments down below, all that stuff. And then, what are you hoping for? What kind of classes would you like to see? Are you scared about the monetization? Because this is Blizzard and Activision. You want to keep those shareholders happy, but yeah. Give us your thoughts down below. Let's keep the conversation going. I'm Nolar, and I'll catch you all in the next one. Nolar out.